Battlefront have kindly sent me a PDF of the new Warsaw Pact book for Team Yankee. This book incorporates and expands on the Czech, Polish and East German forces for the game. The Pact nations already have unique gear like the OT-64 and the Dana SP artillery battery. Let's have a look at the new Warsaw Pact book and see what goodies it contains. Warsaw Pact is the next highly anticipated wave of releases for Team Yankee. Battlefront do play details of the new releases a bit close to their chest, but they've kindly sent along a PDF of the new Warsaw Pact book for me to have a look at. The book is Battlefront's usual high-quality full-colour hardback sourcebook. Because it covers Polish, Czech and East German forces, it weighs in at over 100 pages. Volksarmy was a full book, but the others were smaller supplement books. The new Warsaw Pact book collects them all up into one hardback book. That's really convenient. But there's a bonus. Included in the book is a small Soviet section which adds some of the new units introduced in this release wave into Russian forces lists. Each Warsaw Pact nation will also have a new card pack as well as a unique gaming set. The set includes 20 tokens, 2 objective markers and 16 dice, all themed for that particular nation. But Warsaw Pact isn't just a compilation of existing materials. There's expanded support and formation options as well as new kits and units. Some support choices either weren't available or included in the original releases. For example, the East German formations add the Acacia artillery battery, the RM-70 rocket launcher battery, and the SA-8 Gecko SAM battery. Another interesting tank option that's not been highlighted as much is the original T-55. I've been stomped frequently by hordes of the upgraded and up-armoured T-55 AM2, but now there's an option to field the T-55 in its original configuration. The AM2s also add the Raketenpanzer option, enabling them to fire the AT-10 Stabber missile. These are great additions, but I'm guessing you want to look at the new release stuff. My most anticipated vehicle for this release is the T-72B. This is an upgrade for the original Team Yankee plastic T-72, which represented a T-72A. The T-72 was one of the first plastic kits released for Team Yankee, and it had its issues. It did the job but was not anywhere near as good as some of the later Team Yankee armour kits. As far as I can tell, with this new version you still get that original T-72 sprue. This lets you build a T-72A for the Soviets or the T-72M for client states. What you get as well is this upgrade sprue which enables you to build a T-72B. The T-72B added extra frontal armour, creating even bigger composite armour bulges on the turret. This feature earned the T-72B the irreverent nickname Super Dolly Parton. But you can't see the bulges on the T-72B turret because of the other major change, ERA armour. The T-72B was fitted with Contact 1 explosive reactive armour. ERA armour uses blocky explosive panels to disrupt the molten jets of heat rounds, reducing their effectiveness. You can see the blocks covering the front and sides of the new turret piece, as well as on the front portion of the side skirts. These give the T-72B its characteristic visual profile. There's also an add-on armour panel for the front of the hull. That's part of the Contact 1 suite. The turret and side skirts from the upgrade sprue will replace the parts in the old T-72 kit to build the T-72B. The upgrade sprue also includes new style external fuel tanks, as well as the dozer blade that was missing from the original T-72 kit's hull. The final parts here appear to be the IR searchlight that goes next to the main gun, and what looks like an expanded sight for firing anti-tank guided munitions. The T-72B fired the AT-8 Songster or AT-11 sniper missile through the main gun. What I don't see on this sprue is the turret side smoke discharger, but there is an empty nub next to the turret on the sprue. Hopefully the dischargers are meant to be there. As you can no doubt tell, some of these parts are guesses on my part. I've only seen the one sprue image I've shown here. Once I get my hands on the real thing, I'll be able to do a fully researched review. Note that the upgrade sprue doesn't give you enough parts to build a full turret. You need to use components like the lower turret and gun from the original T-72. So you can't build a T-72 and a T-72B turret. You have to pick one. So who gets the T-72B? Everyone! There are formations and stats for Czech, Polish and East German T-72B, as well as a Soviet one right at the back of the book. Again, an in-depth look at the stat card can wait for the proper review, but here are the cards for all four nations. The T-72B threads the needle between the T-72 and the T-80 for armour, plus the ERA gives 16 side armour against heat, as well as protection against tandem warheads. This should help against infantry anti-tank weapons. The addition of the AT-21 missile for Pact nations or AT-22 missile for the Soviets gives T-72B a welcome long-range standoff capability. That's a lot of added capability for an extra 1 point per tank. To very briefly go to the other end of the spectrum, there's the T-55. If we have a look at the East German T-55 Panzer Company, these are a ridiculous 5 points for 5 tanks. That's just 1 point each. I dread to see just how many miniatures will end up on the table if somebody goes all in on T-55. Even 10 East German T-55s are only 13 points. Czechs are even less with 10 tanks for just 11 points. That's the cost of a single Leopard 2A5 if I remember correctly. There's a lot of scope for a lot of T-55s to end up on a table as bullet soaks to overwhelm the opposition. The next Warsaw Pact kit I'm keen to see is the Su-17 and Su-22 fitter. The Su-17 is a variable geometry fighter bomber which entered service in 1970. It's armed with two 30mm cannon and can carry a wide range of air-to-ground bombs and rockets. As far as I can tell, Battlefront's plastic for this kit is the Academy 1/44th scale Su-22 fitter kit. Some of the proportions around the canopy are a bit off, but this is not a bad little kit. This East German unit card is for the Su-22 fitter, the aircraft's export designation. It shows the mix of guns, heavy rockets, light rockets and even the Kh-25 air-to-ground missile. The guns are decent and give you anti-helicopter to maybe chase off some pesky attack helicopters. The 240mm S-24 heavy rocket gives a brutal artillery template with decent anti-tank. Nice to clear an area of infantry and light vehicles. The lighter 57mm rocket pods have less anti-tank and less punch, but cover a huge salvo template area. But these rockets are one shot, so make it count. And if you need to crack heavy armour, the AT-27 of the optional Kh-25 air-to-ground missiles is a scary option. I know my regular East German opponent will be looking to use these to counter my challenges. Having this aircraft is nice because it gives the Warsaw Pact nations their own fixed-wing air support option without having to rely on Soviet aircraft. The plastic kit comes with anti-air missiles, so I'm assuming the S-24 rocket on the pylons in the advert for the box set is a resin inclusion. But there are third-party weapon options in 1/44th scale if you want some alternatives. The next new product is something I was only vaguely familiar with. That's the M53-59 Praga AA Platoon. This is a uniquely Czech wheeled anti-aircraft gun platform. It mounts twin 30mm cannons on an armoured 6x6 truck chassis. Although I haven't seen any details, this must be a resin and metal kit. Praga is a simple system without radar or electronic tracking and targeting. It's okay against helicopters but has trouble hitting faster moving jets. The manual tracking special rule means Praga adds a +1 to hit when shooting at strike aircraft. But they're half a point each. Worth a shot for your Czech forces, yes? So that's the new stuff, but the Warsaw Pact nations also get access to expanded organic support options. As we mentioned, the Su-22 fitter gives them organic air assets rather than depending on Soviet Red Banner units. But if we look at the East Germans here, they also add the heavy 2S3 Acacia artillery battery, the RM70 Raketenpanzer battery, and the SA8 Gecko flak Zug. Acacia mounts a 152mm howitzer on an armoured chassis. This is designed to provide heavier artillery support options than the 122mm Carnation. For the same points as the lighter artillery, Acacia is a tempting option. It has a slightly better firepower score but less armour penetration in direct fire. RM70 is a Czech-designed 122mm rocket launcher mounted on an 8x8 chassis. It costs slightly more points than the existing BM21 Hail option, but is armoured and has slightly better mobility. The benefit of the mobility will depend on your playstyle, but armour is always welcome. It might make the RM70 a bit more survivable. East Germans already get the SA-9 Gaskin and the SA-13 Gopher AA missile systems. The SA-8 Gecko costs slightly more in points. For that, you get a slight increase in range and a rate of fire of 3. Add to that the striking boat-shaped miniature, and that might be enough to make the SA-8 an attractive option. Anyway, that's a quick overview of the Warsaw Pact book. It collates all the smaller national rulebooks into a single resource, as well as adding some new units and expanding the existing formations. What else is due for release for Warsaw Pact? There are national dice and token sets for each nation, as well as decal sets and unit card packs. The different nations all have their own separate card packs coming out. Remember that Battlefront no longer include unit cards in their platoon boxes, so you'll need to buy the cards. The only exception to this unit card rule are the Su-17 and the T-72B boxes. As far as I understand, these will have the Soviet unit cards included. This will give the Soviet players access to the new cards. However, one other way to get unit cards is through starter boxes. There are 2 new starter boxes planned for Warsaw Pact. I've already placed an order with Blitz and Pieces in Singapore for one of these, the T-72 Tank Battalion. This starter box has 7 T-72s, which can be built as T-72Bs. It also has 5 T-55s, 2 BRDMs, 2 Hind helicopters, and 2 Su-22 fitters. That's quite a few things for the channel to review right there. I plan to use the T-72s for my Soviets. The Hinds will give me 4 helicopters, and the BRDMs are always useful. The fitters will be fun to build, and I guess I can give the T-55s to my East German opponent, Ben. He said he wanted to try out some Raketenpanzers. The second starter box is a BMP motor rifle battalion. That has 5 T-55s, 9 BMPs, 2 BRDMs, 2 Su-25 Frogfoots, and an infantry platoon. There aren't any of the new release kits in this box, so it's not as sexy, but it's still solid value. I'm guessing the figures are the flexible plastic Soviet infantry. I liked these, so they'll be fine. As well as the new starter sets, there'll be platoon boxes of the new release units coming out later. So that's a quick overview of the upcoming Warsaw Pact book, as well as the starter sets, platoon boxes, decals, token sets and unit cards. I don't play Soviet allies, but I'm keen to get the T-72B and the Su-17 for my Soviets. I do have a regular opponent who fields East Germans, and there's plenty of fun stuff here for him. The Restless Kaiser from Modelling for Advantage has also indicated he's keen to try an East German force. I'm pretty sure he and Johnny B will do an unboxing when they get hold of the starter sets. These are always fun. Keep an eye out. And if you want to see me join them for a live stream about the Warsaw Pact, send them messages and emails and comments bugging them about it. Finally, thanks to Libby and the Battlefront team for sending me a PDF of this book to have a look at. I appreciate the support and it helps me tell you guys about new releases. What are you most looking forward to in the Warsaw Pact wave? Is there a particular unit you've been waiting for or excited by? Are you going to spam tables with hundreds of original T-55s? Or if you're a NATO player, what do you think might be the biggest threat? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.